always see. I used to say that whenever you be in relationship with, should be someone you can converse with, you can communicate with. There are so many things we go through in relationship that doesn't necessarily have to end with breakup. As long as that person is teachable. That's why you have to marry someone that is teachable. Some people will do things that they don't know. Honestly, they don't know that they are doing something wrong. Hi guys, welcome back to my YouTube channel. My name is Abiola Kemi Ogunleye. Yes, and this is Let's Get Real with Abiola, where we keep it real, lifestyle, faith, family, and all the other juicy stuff that we do on this channel. On today's edition of Let's Get Real, we are going to keep it real on emotional abuse. You all know, if you watched the previous video on physical abuse, you will know that we are running a series on abuse and we are targeting specific abuses. Even though we may not be able to cover all, we're running a series of different abuses. And the first one, I'll drop a link in the description box. If you haven't seen it, go and watch it. Physical abuse. Now, what is emotional abuse? Emotional abuse is a non-violent way of abusing someone. It doesn't have to do with physical abuse, right? It's a non-violent way of abusing someone in the way to exert control or power over that person. Now, emotional abuse can be with your usage of words, it can be verbal, it can be non-verbal, right? The way you talk to that person, the way you look at that person with disdain are ways by which you can abuse someone. Now, emotional abuse can be a one-time. It can be we might say something to someone and we don't really intend to abuse that person, but in a way it impacted that person and the person felt abused. So it can be one time. It might not be something that happens on a frequent basis. But if it is such that it is a repeated occurrence, that is when it becomes a problem. When you have someone who constantly makes you feel less of yourself with their words or with their actions, they say something, maybe they body shame you, or they say things, they make you feel guilty of something, they guilt trip you, they make you feel like, okay, this thing that happened is your fault. They didn't beat you, but the way they said it is even better they beat yourself. Now, I'm not saying it's okay to beat someone, but I'm saying the way they would say certain words would make it feel like, yes, it's even much more better you beat me than you saying all these words to me. It comes in criticism. You can, there are some critics that are not constructive. And if they're not constructive, it's an emotional abuse. When you criticize someone, you're trying to point out something that they did wrong, but you're not doing that in the right way. That is an emotional abuse. Emotional abuse can come in different forms. They can shame you, they can blame you, they can humiliate you, they can ridicule you, they might trip you. It can just come in different form. When you blame someone for something that it might even be that person that did that thing wrong, but in a way they just don't want to bear the responsibility of what they did wrong, and then they want to make you feel like, yes, you are the one that caused them to do that wrong. That is blaming you for that thing that they did wrong. And as much as someone might say something to you and you might not interpret it as an abuse, as long as that person has an intention to hurt you, to make you feel less of yourself, that is an abuse. So that someone says something and you don't even see it as anything does not mean that it is supposed to be the right thing that that person is supposed to say. So this is me saying that it's possible that someone actually abused you and you might not know because of the intention behind it. So some people have negative intention, that's why they do what they do, and that is an abuse on your person, but you might not know. One thing about emotional abuse is that it has a way of impacting you negatively. It has a way of making you lose your self-confidence, of making you lose your value. Because when someone says something that makes you feel like you're not worth it, you start to see yourself like that. So if you go to a place, you don't feel a part of that place. So you could be in a place with your friends and then they are saying things, you don't feel worthy to relate with them because of the things that they have said. Maybe imagine your partner saying something like, when you say things you say rubbish. It is only rubbish that comes out of your mouth. And in a way, if you go out amongst your friends, you don't want to say rubbish, so you rather keep short. So that is that abusive patterns affecting you even when you're outside, even when you're with your friends, with your family, and also people that have emotional abuse partner as a partner, they have a way to send people away from you. I mean, they have a way of making you feel like you don't need any other person. You only need them. You feel like, okay, I don't need to relate with my family, with my friends, or even with my loved ones. I only need this person. So they kind of cage you. They use their words to cage you. They use their actions to demean you. Now, emotional abuse is more of psychological than physical. It's more of psychological because it deals with the mind. It deals with the mind. And when someone abuses you emotionally, they do it with an ulterior motive. The motive is to control you, but not physically. So some people would say that I'm not violent with my partner physically. I'm only using words. The way you say certain things matter. Now, certain things you say to someone is not wrong, only if your intention behind saying it is wrong. Now, if you say something to someone, you say it with the intention of abusing it. You might not even aim to abuse that person, but because of the way and manner at which you say it, you've already abused them. If you feel like your partner is doing something wrong, there's a way you can tell that person without being disrespectful to that person, without making that person lose their self-esteem. Now, if you are in an emotionally abusive relationship, you need to pay attention to what that person is saying. What is that person saying that makes you feel like that person is abusing you? Because at times you might be misinterpreting the intentions of that person. You need to assess. You need to do an assessment of whatever it is that person is saying that is an abuse to you. You need to communicate it to that person. Because when you're in an emotionally abusive relationship, you might not necessarily need to leave immediately. It might be something that can stop. Is because at times, some people don't know how to censor their words. Understand that that person is not you. So that person might not really be able to tell that, okay, this thing is an abuse to you. Tell that person, I don't like that you say this to me at this time. If that person change, that is a good sign that, okay, the person just did it as a one-time thing. It's not something that person intended. It's not that person's behavior. Because when there are some things that are behavioral patterns, there are behavioral actions, and there are some things that are just something that just happened coincidental. It's not intended. So you need to express it. So first assess it. What is this person saying to me that I don't like? And be able to communicate with your partner in that relationship. Tell that person, I don't like how you said this thing to me. If that person changed, then yes, that is a sign that you don't need to leave that person. There are some things that some people would say to you and you would lose value. You feel like you're worthless, that you have no words. And trying to say positive things to yourself might not be enough. You need to get out of that relationship. Didn't just say get out immediately. I said communicate to that person. Tell that person how you feel. And if that person is not willing to change, if that person feels like you are just all over in your head, you are the one saying things that doesn't make any sense, because you know how that word is impacting you. You understand better how that word is impacting you, and that is why you are the only one that can tell that person how the things that they are saying is affecting you. And if they are not willing to change, my dear, my darling, my lovers, you need to leave. Dust your shoes and leave that relationship. You don't have to be with someone that would constantly make you feel like you don't have any value. You need to be with someone that would treasure you. You know your worth, and because you know your worth, you cannot afford to let someone else make you feel less of your worth. You have to see yourself in a positive light. You have to communicate your feelings to that person, and that person is not willing to change. Please leave that relationship and self-motivate yourself. Tell yourself positive things. If someone says you're worth, let's say I have so much worth. If someone says you don't have any potential, say I have so much potential. When someone says certain things to you to degrade you, to demean you, always say positive things back. And don't always keep short. And by saying don't always keep short, I'm not saying you should also throw words back at that person. No, I'm saying don't be silent. It's not every time that you have to be silent. When someone emotionally abuses you, it's not every time you have to be silent. Especially in an abusive relationship, because we have our focus is relationship. When someone emotionally abuses you in a relationship, you don't always have to be silent. You might not say that thing back that particular time. You might not tell that person I don't like what you said to me at this particular time, but don't sweep it under the carpet. When the tension is less is not as intensified, then you need to tell that person, I don't like that language you used for me. I don't like it. Don't use that kind of tone for me again. Don't tell me that I don't have any words. Don't tell me that I'm not a good spouse, or don't say to me like this. Always see, I used to say that whoever you be in relationship with should be someone you can converse with, you can communicate with. There are so many things we go through in relationship that doesn't necessarily have to end with breakup. As long as that person is teachable. That's why you have to marry someone that is teachable. Some people will do things that they don't know. Honestly, they don't know that they are doing something wrong. But if they are teachable, they'll be willing to change. So if you're in a relationship with someone that is teachable, you don't necessarily have to leave them. As long as you know that they will change. There's people, even if their father warns them that they should not do this thing, they will still continue doing it. They are not teachable. Such a person, you don't have to waste your time trying to be with that person. If you have given them warning signals, tell them you don't like how they say certain things to you and they're not willing to change, please don't sign a forever contract to that person. Don't. This is when you should start living. Leave that relationship. But if it's such that that person is teachable, that person is really genuinely loves you and is willing to change, then always communicate your feelings. Like I said, relationship, marriage is they are platforms that you get yourself offended. If you are in a relationship with someone that is blunt and you are not a person that can accommodate that bluntness, you have to know yourself. Once you know yourself, you cannot accommodate the bluntness of your partner in a relationship. Please, why are you there? Please don't be afraid of your partner that you cannot tell them that they did something wrong to you. And emotional abuse in a relationship is not necessarily one-sided. It's not always the man that abuses a woman. The woman too can emotionally abuse their partner. You can leave that relationship and still be traumatized because of the volume of things that has been said to you. So you need to constantly motivate yourself. Read books that motivate you. Don't read books that are not in any way motivating you. Read books that motivate you. See movies that motivate you. Constantly tell yourself how much of a value that you are. If someone says you have big eyes, say I have beautiful eyes. If someone says you have lips, nose that is like, say I have beautiful nose. No one is as adorable as I am. No one is as elegant as I am. I have wonderful arm. I have wonderful legs. Tell yourself beautiful and excellent things. When you look at yourself in the mirror, tell yourself, omo dun, omo ton, omo nomo pa, omo to. Look at me. I'm a perfection in itself. When you leave a relationship, don't stop growing yourself. Don't stop motivating yourself. And if you need to speak with someone, if you feel like the trauma is such that you need to really speak to someone, self-motivating yourself is not enough. You need to actually seek professional help. You don't just walk up to anyone and start telling someone, I went through this, I went through that. No, you need to be sure that the person you're talking to is someone who will be willing to help you. And also pray. Put yourself in prayer. Always put yourself in prayer. Always commit yourself into the hands of God. And always trust that He has you. He has your back, and that He loves you. He adores you. You are God's precious. You're God's precious. You're God's child. And I love you. I love you. If no one has ever told you that they love you genuinely, I do. I love you, and I see a lot of potential in you Whatever that person has said that is in a way impacting you, they just said it. It is not who you are. You are who God says you are. You are what God says you are, not what that person says that you are. And so I pray that it is well with you, it is well with your soul, body, and spirits, and everything will work out for your good. That intention to have a godly, goodly marriage will happen for you. You're blessed. You're multiplied. I pray God helps you to use your discretion accordingly. Thank you for watching today's edition of Let's Get Real. Till I see you again, Omo. Till I see you again, stay enlightened, stay positive, and don't forget, stay real. I love you. Bye bye.